I feel like a lot of this you're gonna know, we just need to review here a little bit. So again, I stole these literally out of some old Algebra 1 material, nothing crazy. I'm pretty sure once I show you elimination, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I totally remember it. And I really need this first one super nice for you, because notice your negative 4y and 4y are set to cancel. Remember, you add the equations together. So I'm gonna get rid of those, 3x plus 2x, 7 plus 3, easy math. Now, this is where you have to do a little bit of calculations, not that it's the worst thing in the world, but we need the y coordinate. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick any equation, I'm just gonna do the top one because I feel like it, and I'm gonna substitute, what we call back substitute. I'm gonna substitute 2 in there for x. So I'm gonna do 3 times 2, I know you know it's 6, that's square y equals 7, okay? Then of course 3 times 2 is 6, I'm gonna subtract 6 over, I'm just gonna mental math it, 7 minus 6 is 1. And we get a very lovely fraction. When we divide by -4, we're at -1/4. So one thing you might notice a little different, I'm just going to warn you about it now, from Algebra 2, you do get a decent amount of fraction answers. So don't let that freak you out. Even on the homework today, there's some fraction answers. Of course, you can use a calculator. Now, I don't care if you leave the answers like that. Sometimes I write them like that. Sometimes I get fancy and I put them ordered pair style. X first, Y second. Doesn't matter to me if you leave them separate like I have the green and the purple, or you write it ordered pair. Like I said, I kind of mix and match. Now, 2 is what we're going to kind of focus on today, the method of substitution. And I started this one off nice for you because the top equation is already solved for x or y. It's already got y by itself. So all I have to do is take this expression and substitute it in the other equation for y. So I'm going to rewrite this bottom equation, x minus, and I'm going to replace the y, -x plus 4. Careful, a lot of signs there, equals 2. All right, easy peasy. I'm going to go through and do the math here. Minus a negative x is going to make that a plus x. And then I'm going to have -4 equals 2. All right, let's combine our x's, x and x, 2x. And hey, let's add the 4. We got it, 3. Now, of course, you need the y coordinate, so I'm just going to back substitute in here. So I'm going to come up to this first equation, because I can almost do that one in my head, and I'm going to put 3 in there. So I'm going to have -3 plus 4, 1. And you don't have to write out all the work for that. You can just, of course, do that in your head. So again, I don't care if you just circle your individual answers. I wrote it ordered pair style. Like I said, you'll see on the answers today on the homework, I kind of mix and match. So that's a quick, fast review of substitution. Let's just, again, take a look at the steps here. Nothing for you to fill in. We just got to talk about it. So one of the things you're going to see today, just a little extra work for us, this last one, I already did the first step for you. I solved that top equation for y. That might not be the case on all of them. So we're going to pick either x or y. It really makes no difference whatsoever. Pick an equation, pick a variable to solve for. I try to avoid anything crazy fraction or anything that looks too difficult. It's my pro tip. I'm going to substitute it into the other equation. We're going to solve it. We're going to back substitute to get your second answer, everything we just did. And I'm sure we all check our answers to make sure they're right. We're going to talk about how you check your answers here in a minute. This would be how you would check your answers. Now, do you have to write out how to check the answers? No. But of course, if you're in a quiz or test, you might want to punch it in your calculator real quick and make sure your answer is actually correct. So let's test them here. So I'm just going to plug both ordered pairs in these equations. So of course, I'm putting 2 in for x, -13 for y. So I'm going to do 4 times 2 squared, which again, you can do this all in your calculator, and -13 for y. Now I'm going to mental math that and see if I get 3. Order of operations, exponents first, 2 squared, 4, times 4, 16. 16 plus -13 does equal 3. I'm winning. Now if it didn't equal 3, I'd say not a solution. I'd go to the next problem. I'd be done. But I got to make sure it works in both equations. So now I'm going to put 2 in for x, -13 in for y. I'm going to do a little mental math here, see if we get 11. Feel pretty good about it. -2 plus 13, yes, is 11. So yes, it is a solution. So that's how you check them. And like I said, you can do everything I wrote on the left-hand side just in your calculator. I don't need to see a lot of work for that. Okay, let's test this guy, x, y. So again, first I'm going to put -2 in for x, -9 in for y. All right, I'm going to do some mental math. Let's see if we get 3. Order of operations, exponents first, -2 squared, 4, 4 times 4 is 16. What's 16 plus -9? 7, which isn't 3. So is it a solution?
No.
No. And of course, we don't have to waste our time checking the second equation because it has to work in both. So that is how you check your answers. And again, you can do all that computation in your calculator. I don't need any work for you. All right, solve the system by substitution. Here we go. I mean, I'd really like to do the first one with elimination because those y's are set to cancel, but it says substitution, so I have to do substitution. So again, pick any equation, solve for x or y, it doesn't matter. We all might have a little different work, but final answer is the same. So I just try to pick an equation that looks easy, basically. So I'm kind of looking at the bottom one. I think I could solve for x pretty easy. I can just add the y over. So I'm going to rewrite this equation as x equals 2 plus y. Or y plus 2 if you like the variable first, of course, okay? Now I'm going to take that expression for x and I'm going to substitute it into the other equation. So I'm going to plug that in the top. So I'm going to replace x with 2 plus y. I still have the plus y, and it equals 4. All right, we're just going to solve here. Y plus y, I'm going to combine it 2y. I mean, most of you can do mental math at this point in your head. Subtract 2, divide off the 2, we get 1. Got it. Now, x, of course, again, you can probably just mental math this. Put a 1 in here for y. 2 plus 1, 3. And again, you can leave your answers like that. If you like the ordered pair style, doesn't matter to me. All right, let's look at B. Now, I put B in here because, of course, as you well know, I love a fraction. You may not love a fraction. I love a fraction. Let's talk about if you really hate fractions, because I know some of you do. So I'm looking at the top equation. There are a couple fractions in it. If you're like, I absolutely hate fractions more than anything in this world, let's clear them out of the top equation. So 2 and 4, I'm looking at the denominators. 2 and 4, fancy math phrase here, least common multiple. The least common multiple, the smallest number they would divide evenly into is 4. So I'm going to multiply the whole thing by 4 if you want to clear the fractions. Half of 4, 2, and that's not so bad. 4 times 3/4, 3. 4 times 10, 40. So if you really hate fractions, you can use that blue version of the equation. Now, honest facts here, people, we can't avoid fractions. It's just unavoidable in this problem. We are going to have to deal with them. This is where you might want your calculator. Now, I don't want to solve this for x or y. I don't want to work on the top one because if I solve for x, I got to divide everything by 2 fractions. If I solve for y, I have to divide everything by 3 fractions. Okay, so I'm going to try to do something on the bottom equation. The bottom one looks easy to solve for y. I think I could just subtract the 3/4 x over there and then switch the signs. So, I mean, fractions are a little bit unavoidable on this one, but you know I love a fraction. Okay, so I've got my negative y. I like the variable first. I do usually put the variable first, not that you have to. And then, of course, you want the negative off the y, so let's switch all of the signs. So 3/4, positive 3/4, minus 4. All right, let's do some fraction work here. I'm going to scroll it over a little bit. I'm going to take that expression for y and substitute it into the blue one. So I've got my 2x, my 3, yuck, we've got y, poor Cameron, and then don't forget your equals 40. So this is, I mean, really the worst case today is you might have to deal with some fractions. All right, let's distribute 3 through. Now, 3 times 3, 9. 9 over 4. Or if you like a mixed number, that's 2 1/4. Okay, 3 times 4. Okay. Now, obviously, the easy thing, we're going to add the 12 over. I'm going to just go to 52. Now, you know, I'm kind of good at fractions. I don't mean to sound braggy. 2, of course, I'm thinking common denominator. I know 2 is the same as 8 over 4. 8 over 4 is 2. 8 over 4 plus 9 over 4, 17 over 4. If you have to do that in your calculator, do that in your calculator. So be it. I'm going to get rid of the 17 over 4. I'm just going to multiply by the reciprocal, 4 over 17. And we will get our final answer for x. Okay, remember the 52 is over 1, of course. Now this, I mean, this just comes out bad. I'm not gonna lie to you. So 52 times 4 is 208. Whew, okay. And of course, 1 times 17. And unfortunately, that does not reduce. That is our answer for X. Whew. We still have to get Y. Now, honest talk here, that fraction for X is bad. I mean, it totally is. I would do Y all in my calculator, let's be honest with it here, because we're going to have to put in for X 208 over 17. Right. So I would honestly just punch the purple directly into your calculator, which you can do, because Y is also a bad fraction. It turns out to be 88 over 17. Oof. So you do get a couple bad fractions, but don't, feel free to use your calculator, no judgment on that. All right, fractions are fun. What? Okay, so all system of equations using, of course, substitution. Now, I jazzed it up a little bit. Notice you have a square on the top, okay? A parabola. So we're going to get maybe multiple answers on this one first off. Now, in theory, you can take any equation you want, solve for either letter, we'll get the answer. But pro tip, I can't say I would want to solve the top equation for X because what cancels squaring? Square root, I'd have to have a square root in there, and that just sounds awful. I really just don't want to do that. I don't want to deal with it. So my pro tip to you is start with the non-squared equation. I'm going to start with the bottom equation because I can solve the bottom one for X or Y in my head. Let's solve for Y. That seems easy. I'm just going to add the X over. And I like the variable first. It's just me. And again, you could have solved for X. It doesn't matter. We'll get the same thing. All right, I'm going to take my answer for Y. I'm going to substitute it into the top. And I'm going to rewrite it. So, of course, I got my X squared, my minus X, my minus Y. Now, I have to subtract the entire Y expression, which is X minus 1. So I'm just going to throw it in parentheses to make sure I don't miss a sign somewhere along the way, and then, everything goes off the rails, right? All right, let's distribute the negative through. So minus X plus 1. Okay, all right. Let's combine our like terms, minus X. Got it. And what happens to the ones? The ones do what? Cancel. So we're really left set equal to, now we have a quadratic equation, the squared's quadratic, 2 answers for X, and when we least expect it, here we are again, factoring. Can you factor X squared minus 2X? Yeah. I'm shaking my head, yes, because what can you take out of there? What's your GCF? X. Let's pull an X out. All right, so my 2 answers for X, I'm going to, of course, get 0, and then my second one, 2. Now, this is a situation because I do have the 2 answers for X. I am going to write my answers ordered pair style because I want to show exactly what number pairs up to 0 and exactly what number for Y pairs up with the 2. So I do want to write these ordered pair style. But again, we can get the Y's mental math. First, let's throw 0 in here for X. 0 minus 1. I'm going to put the 2 in there, 2 minus 1. Got it. So if I do have multiple answers for X or Y, I will write the answers ordered pair styles because it's easy to show exactly what number is paired up with what. So you have to do a little factoring today, not the worst thing in the world. All right, let's look at the next one. I'm already thinking we're probably going to have to do some factoring on it because I see the squared in it. Now, same thing. We're not starting with the squared equation. So I'm starting on the top one. I'm going to solve for X or Y on the top, whatever seems easy. Seems easy to solve for Y. I can just add the X over. So I'm just going to rewrite that as X plus 4. No reason to write a bunch of work that we could handle in our head. Let's substitute that in for Y. So I'm going to rewrite the bottom, X squared plus, I'm replacing or substituting in X plus 4 for Y. And of course equals 3. Now I'm cringing, of course, because I'm thinking, here we go. I'm going to set it to 0. We're going to factor, blah, 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 all the things. Let's subtract the 3 over and see what we can do as far as factoring. X, 4 plus 3. Oh, gosh. Now I cringe a little bit. Does this factor? Does anything multiply to 1 and add to 1? No, 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 no. Multiply to 1, your only choices are 1 and 1, which clearly adds to 2. Now, doesn't mean we're done. Doesn't mean we're done. We know other ways to solve quadratics, completing the square and quadratic formula. Now, I don't know if I want to complete the square personally, because you'd have to do half of the middle, half of b, half of 1 is a half, and squared, and you have a lot of fractions. So, you know what, I'm going to go old school quadratic formula. So, of course, a is 1, b is 1, c is 1. So, old school quadratic formula. X equals the opposite of b. Plus or minus the square root. B squared, 1 squared, I'm just going to write it down. Minus 4 times a times c. All over 2a. 2 times 1. Okay, I don't even need a calculator. I can do what's under the root in my head. Hopefully you can too. Because I've got 1 minus 4, and I think I'm going to stop writing right now. Because what's wrong with the square root of negative 3? It's what type of number? Imaginary. Okay, remember, we're talking about where they intersect, what numbers work in both equations. Imaginaries, not cutting it. I did all that work for no solution. That really makes me feel good. All right, any questions on that guy? All right, I feel like I've really taught you nothing new, just a whole lot of algebra skills together. All right, this is an easy one, I promise, but I don't know why. There's one like this on the homework, and it always like weirds kids out. I think it's because both equations are solved for y. Like, it's already set for you to do the substitution part. I'm just going to take this top expression for y and substitute it into the bottom equation. So the left-hand side, I'm going to put in negative x squared, and I've got my equals x squared minus 4x. This looks a little weird. Now, I see the squares. I'm going to factor again. Before I do that, let's set it to 0. So I'm going to add this x squared over. So I get them all on the same side. X squared, 2x squared. Now again, I'm thinking factoring. We always think GCF first thing when you factor. I think we're in business on that. We can pull a 2 and an x out. Oh, yeah, that comes out good. So 2 answers for x. Well, I set 2x to 0 and solve it. Divide off 2, I mean, we got 0. And then, of course, my second answer, 2. Now, like I said on that earlier one, if I do have multiple answers, I am going to write them ordered pair style so I can show exactly what number is paired up with 0, paired up with 2. All right, let's do some mental math here. All right, let's put 0 in. 0 seems pretty easy. Pick an equation. Throw 0 in here. 0 squared minus 4 times 0. I don't even know why I bothered writing all that. Right. Let's put 2 in. So 2 squared minus 4 times 2. Okay, so I got 4 minus 8. Got it. And I'm just going to circle up. All right, any questions on those? So tomorrow, kind of more of the same. We're going to do a little substitution, a little graphing calculator stuff, and everybody's favorite, some word problems. One ray of hope here. On your homework, you can skip 14. I don't know why. I must have really liked that problem. I put it on there twice, okay? So go ahead and skip 14 when you get to that.